China should start an investigation into the Bidens.
While facing an impeachment inquiry for privately asking Ukraine to investigate a political rival, the president publicly invited China to do the same.
What happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine.
It is illegal to accept help from a foreign entity in a U.S. election.
This is deeply, deeply troubling.
Mr. Trump has repeatedly claimed that former Vice President Joe Biden's son Hunter profited from business dealings in China while his father was in office.
He's the definition of corruption. He's corrupted the agencies of government, from the Defense Department, from the State Department, from the Justice Department, all about making sure that he, in fact, allows somebody else to pick his opponent for him. That's what this is about. And I am not going to stand for it. And I'm not going to respond to it. I'm not going to talk about anything other than what the facts are. He's indicted himself by his own statements. This is not about me. It's not about my son. There's not a shred of evidence there's anything done that's wrong. This is the guy that's unhinged. He is unhinged. I worry about what he's going to do, not about me or my family. I worried about what he'll do in the next years in presidency.
Hi, I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman.
This is NewsRap live at 5.
Let's do it.
Moving up. All right.
Man, what a week, huh?
What a week.
No. What a past 3 hours.
Well, yeah, right. Okay, so you want to sum it up? Have you been monitoring from your...
I'm gonna say it like this.
Yeah.
From a journalism perspective, what's amazing about stories like this, and this is where we are, this can't be stopped. It is moving so fast,
I think that's
so
right.
furious.
Yeah.
Last week, I think I told you that CNN was averaging a breaking story every 45 minutes or so. We are now down to every 32 minutes, according to the folks that keep this kind of thing. And it's speeding up. Usually stories slow down. This one is still picking up steam.
Well, I think because we're now starting to hear from something that we never heard from before, with all of those years of, the Mueller report. Mm-hmm. We're hearing from people.
Right.
We're hearing from fact witnesses.
And people who made the accusations.
Yeah. And we're seeing text messages. And we're seeing, what actually occurred, what happened.
Right.
And yes, there is that guy, who was it, Sondland, who said, nothing to see here. Mm-hmm. They're going to get him before the committee at some point.
Yeah.
They have to. And he's not a career diplomat. He's a Trump donor.
Right.
Who was given the job as a thank you. And...
Well, even what I was just...
it keeps going and going.
Well, back to what I was saying.
Like the Energizer Bunny.
I mean, we have breaking news right here that we're still trying to figure out.
That's right.
Why don't you get into that from just 5 minutes ago?
Well, yeah, because actually, it's from a few hours ago, but I didn't know that on MSNBC, one of the reporters that were talking on Meet the Press talked about this idea that there was actually a criminal referral in the whistleblower complaint, and that even before the whistleblower complaint, the general counsel of the CIA had gone to one of the people in the Justice Department, I think in the National Security Division of the Justice Department, to basically get them to investigate. And of course, the Justice Department, it doesn't stand for justice anymore. It just is.
It just is there, right?
It just is there to do absolutely nothing.
Right.
So they said, "Oh no, this isn't a real criminal referral."
But we don't even know who the referral.
It's not in writing, and and you didn't dot that I, and
so
you didn't cross that
against?
T.
Do we know?
We do not know. What the reporter Ken Delanian from NBC News said on the program was that it was not about a campaign finance violation, that it was a different kind of crime that was being referred. Now, I hesitate to say that it was against the president, because why? We cannot indict a sitting president. The Justice Department is not going to do that.
So then, as a reporter, the next question becomes, is it Rudy Giuliani?
And I think that would be a really good question to get the answer to.
You start going down the major names that are involved in the scandal.
It probably is Rudy
And the
Giuliani.
next name, the next two names would be Pompeo or Giuliani.
Yeah.
So that's what I would assume going forward. I would be asking, is it this guy, is it that guy, is it this guy? It's probably, I bet you we will land on Giuliani in this.
This is turning into an All the President's Men. This is really turning into not just one rogue, crazy, nutso human being. This is turning into all the people around him.
And isn't it amazing how long it took Woodward and Bernstein to get there?
Yeah.
And how quickly. I mean, we
have 24-hour news now.
But they've done 6 months.
We have internets and tweets.
They've done 6 months worth of work.
Yeah.
In a week. In about a week. Literally.
And yet, this morning, I was watching Fox News, and with the exception of Shepard Smith, it is entirely, there's nothing to see here. That's exactly what most news watchers, on the television news watchers, because Fox News is the highest rated news channel. I think it even might be CNN and MSNBC combined.
But this won't.
It's very highly rated.
This won't turn on. And I hate to say this. This won't turn on news.
Right.
This will turn on social media. This will turn on opinion. This will turn on even messaging.
Yeah.
And because it's so fast, for example, usually when you cover something like this, let's say a criminal case, very, very quickly you learn what the defense is saying and what the prosecution is saying.
Yeah.
And you understand everybody's message. And you can, okay, lay it over here, lay it over here. Even a lawsuit, we could do the same thing, A and B.
Sure.
This is going so fast that every 6 hours or so, the White House is throwing out a new defense. And that new defense is failing within about an hour and a half.
Well, the latest defense is the dare, right? They're daring Nancy Pelosi to have a vote on impeachment. They say it's necessary. McCarthy really started this, Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader.
Yeah, the guy who wrote the letter and said, please stop this until you can vote.
Until you can vote. And he said it's not due process. Now, frankly, Nancy Pelosi's 100% right, but we do not need a vote. It's not required by any document that anyone has seen. It's one of those norms that the Republicans have been breaking for the last 2.5 years or 3 years with Donald Trump as the leader. But why not? Why not have the vote? We know that we have the people now. I believe it's down to 9. I think 9 out of the 236 or 232, whatever it is, 9 have not joined the impeachment bandwagon.
If you vote. Mm-hmm. So right now they have, I still believe right now, Schiff, Pelosi, the Democrats have the Republicans and Donald Trump right where they want them. For right now. So
okay.
In this moment in time, this snapshot.
Now, if they do not...
Let me finish.
Okay.
What Schiff said is key.
Yeah.
If you do not cooperate with my subpoenas, I will hold you in obstruction of Congress or an impeachment proceeding.
Okay. And I'm going to say whoopee.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to say that is because we need the documents. And there's only one way we're going to get the documents.
You can still get
and that is to go to court.
You can get both things that you want.
How?
You let them not obey the subpoena, and then you have a vote. And then after the vote, you get the documents from court. And
how long will that take?
Well, how long is it going to take anyway? But you know what? It's going to be a lot quicker under an official, and it's official now, impeachment proceeding or impeachment, whatever it is.
See, there's a third way to do it. As a lawyer, he has basically said These were his words. We will not cooperate until there is a vote. That implies that they will cooperate once there is a vote. And so I would say, okay, here's a piece of paper that says you will turn over absolutely everything we want if we have a vote. I'm happy to have that vote. You sign that piece of paper. You don't sign that piece of paper, we go ahead with an obstruction of Congress charge. You sign that piece of paper and violate it, we go ahead with an obstruction of Congress charge.
You know what? That's very nice. It's very pleasant. That's very Sunday school-like.
That's not Sunday school-like.
Sure it is.
That's hard lawyering.
No, this is hardcore. You arrest somebody's ass and you put them in jail.
in that little congressional jail.
I don't care where it is.
Nobody knows if it exists.
That's
or
fine.
Not, that everyone keeps talking about.
You put somebody's behind in there for a little while.
Yeah.
And guess what? Those documents will start shaking free because when people get locked up,
I agree.
They start singing like the Temptations and telling you all kind of stuff.
Yep.
So forget about this. Let's make a deal. Let me show you what I'm going to do if you don't cooperate with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do. Eric Bailey says Trump is his own biggest enemy.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't think. Here's the problem right now.
Okay.
I'm going to go a little bit.
He's going to get deep on you. That's what he's about to get deep.
I'm going to get a little bird's eye view
gonna get
on
deep.
you guys.
Come on.
Little view from 30,000
Come on,
feet here.
get deep.
Okay. Neither Trump nor most of the American people really understand what the American system of democracy is.
Okay.
It's that simple. If you ask people what democracy is, they can't. They'll just say it's freedom. They'll just say it's the right for me to do whatever the heck I want to do.
Okay.
And they don't know what the Constitution is, how it was built, why it's different from other systems, and most don't care. And if they had, we wouldn't have gotten Donald Trump in the first place. If they had an understanding of the man's authoritarian, and which he let it out. I mean, he showed it. He showed it every day during the campaign. He showed it when he said, punch that guy in the face. He showed it when he said, don't worry, go take that guy out of the rally and, I'll pay for your court costs or whatever. I mean, he did that and we saw it and we did nothing about it.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think that the American people at this point, and I'm saying too many of them, maybe not the majority of them, but too many of them are confusing the government of the United States, the democracy that affects all of us, with a reality TV show.
And they're confusing it with something else. Their privilege.
Yeah. That's the other side of it.
See, when you talk about all these people, you're talking about one group of people.
Yeah, I'm talking about white people.
You're talking about white people.
I'm talking
You're
about
not talking about black people.
No, you're right.
You're talking about white people.
You got me there. Not all white people.
Not all white people.
I'm talking about white people.
But, again, herein lies the issue.
Although they sure have found some black people on Fox to support that point of view. Oh, my gosh.
Barry.
They just trooped them out.
Barry.
It's like, wow.
Barry.
Yeah.
Have you ever been black?
No.
Those aren't black people.
Oh, okay.
Just because you have dark skin and nappy hair and you look like me, it does not mean you're black.
Point very well
Okay,
taken.
there's other things that go with that.
All right.
That I'm not going to try to explain because you and most of the audience will not understand.
Well,
no
a
offense.
lot of our audience will, actually, but go ahead.
I said most of our audience. No offense to you.
Yeah.
No offense to you at all. But the issue lies in this. Everything you said is correct.
Mm-hmm.
But when we get back to the privilege, it takes on a different connotation of, I don't have to pay attention to that Constitution or know what it says.
That's right.
Because I can step above it.
That's right. And that has been kind of the Republican mantra for a very long time.
Yeah.
A very long time. They go back to Merrick Garland, go back to all of the times when it was more important, to get a conservative judge or to pass tax cuts than it was to really do anything for the people of this country.
To find the line and stand on the line.
That's right.
And sometimes cross it.
Yeah.
and skirt responsibility, oath,
Yeah.
and all those things. And let's be honest, we even watched Nancy Pelosi do it for a while.
We did.
You know, I mean, hey, it's taken, just the reality, it's taken Mitt Romney less time to stand up than it did Nancy Pelosi. Now, Mitt hasn't said, I'd vote for impeachment.
He hasn't, not yet.
But Mitt is taking an unpopular stance in his party.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this earlier today, and I thought you and I had a really interesting conversation before the show where we talked about the number of senators that could move over.
And my feeling, and I expressed it, I think, last week on the show, we really only need a majority of the Senate. It will not accomplish, if that's all we get, that will not accomplish removing him. But if he goes down in history as the first president of the United States where a majority of the Senate voted to impeach him, to remove him, actually, I think maybe Andrew Johnson
had a majority. Right.
Yeah,
because
he had that too.
He won by
one vote.
One. I guess we'll say he won.
Yeah.
By one vote.
Right.
One vote.
Right.
That's pretty damn close.
Yeah, that's a little close. But he was not facing re-election. That was already decided, right?
That they were abandoning him.
But Donald Trump will not be the nominee if a majority of the Senate votes to remove him.
Well, look.
So we will have accomplished that. Whether we want to or not. I did do the Nikki Haley scenario last week,
right?
Which is kind of the fly in the Chardonnay. But
Barry, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again.
Yeah,
the Republican Party very, very soon is going to have to make a decision.
Yep.
Because now the latest subpoenas to the White House are for documents pertaining to the vice president. So now Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, and the boys are going to have to say, how dirty can we allow Mike Pence to get in this? And at some point it becomes, if this guy has to take over the presidency, we need to keep him away from this. Does that mean that they're going to vote to impeach? Probably not. But it means at some point they're going to have to say, what do we do here?
But you just made an important point. You said we're going to have to keep him away from this. He may be in this, and we may not be able to keep him away.
But how do you keep him away?
So President Pelosi may be waiting in the wings.
But how do you
don't know?
How do you avoid that if you're Mitch McConnell? How do you avoid President Pelosi?
Well, obviously, the way you avoid it is to cut some kind of a deal.
You cut a deal.
Trump. Yeah,
you have to cut it. At some point, they may be. I'm not saying it's a definite. They may be placed in a position where they have to go to Pelosi, Schiff, and everybody else and say, look. We think we can get this guy to leave, but we need you guys to leave Pence alone, and we'll open it up and have primaries.
Okay, so now you're being transactional.
I am.
Yeah. So what happens to the Constitution? What if the vice president is just as culpable as the president?
We are so far.
We really say that, okay, we'll make a deal so that Nancy Pelosi doesn't become president?
Two things. One of the things.
I don't think so. I mean,
you're right.
At some point, we've got to stand for something.
But even if we go towards the Constitution does provide for one thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it says it, but it provides for one thing. At all times, this nation must have a president.
Yeah.
Okay? When George W. Bush had to get a minor procedure done.
Right.
Dick Cheney took the oath and was president for something like a half hour.
Oh, sure.
Now, he doesn't go down in history as president.
That is in the Constitution.
Okay, so then, they're going to go, even if Pence is dirty, you cannot double impeach because the nation must have a leader at all times.
And that would be Nancy Pelosi, who would be sworn in 2 seconds later.
Who would have to take the oath. But they're not going to do it that way. They're going to go, this guy's leaving first, this guy's pardoning him, and then this is where the fun can begin. And this is just all fantasy football, but this is where the fun can begin.
Yeah.
If we get here, hang on.
All right, because I know we got local.
Local can wait.
Go ahead. Okay.
Pasadena is still going to be here.
All right.
If we get to this fantasy football point,
the
Dems will get their payback for Merrick Garland. Because this is the moment when they can delay.
That's true.
And they can say, we are not going to allow Pence to pick a new VP since a full Congress. Last week I said the Senate had to approve it. I was wrong. A full Congress has to approve.
That's right.
And that's where they can delay. All right.
Yeah.
You want to do this local thing?
Let's do some local
All
stuff, yeah.
Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you!
On the heels of the United Nations Climate Action Summit, students, teachers, parents, and activists gathered at Pasadena's City Hall to protest climate change. During the assembly, protesters laid down for 11 minutes, symbolizing the 11 years that scientists say we have to reverse the most catastrophic effects of climate change. An open mic preceded the 11-minute symbolic act, where protesters expressed their fear, anger, and concern over the future of our planet. Councilmember and Vice Mayor Tyrone Hampton is quoted in a Pasadena Weekly article as addressing the protesters with, "It's important the city does all it can, and we do all we can to protect the environment." Pasadena's Water and Power is facing a second lawsuit in relation to what is being referred to as an illegal tax that increased utility rates 2 years ago. The lawsuit alleges Pasadena Water and Power designs its electric rates to generate funding for the city, charging more than it costs for the utility provider to deliver services. The city takes money from the utility provider to put into the city's general fund, making it considered a tax. Prop 218 requires that all new taxes be voted on, and the lawsuit claims the transfer into the general fund was never voted on. According to a Pasadena Star News article, the city denies wrongdoing and defends the fees and charges as fair for the services provided. The article also says that the city claims that the transfer of money was approved by voters. 2020 will mark the centennial for the women's suffrage and the founding of the League of Women Voters. The Pasadena chapter and the 800 chapters across the United States are pursuing a younger, more diverse membership in an initiative called Transformation Journey. Area President Pat Coulter stated, "We would want the League to look more like the country we live in, and to not only include women, but also men. Young people and non-conforming people can be a part of the League of Women Voters. We need everyone voting."
Yes, we do. We need everyone voting.
That's right. That's right. And diversity in the League of Women Voters.
Yeah.
I mean, that will be an amazing, amazing thing.
And how difficult is that going to be to achieve?
Well, you know, a lot of this is a kind of a do-over because it was African-American women during the suffrage movement that got stepped on, and they're acknowledging that. And so now they're saying, hey, let's bring some diversity in. I don't think it'll be very hard. I think that right now...
And is this a national movement? I know we're talking about it in terms of Pasadena.
Right. This is national.
Yeah.
But I think right now, I think that you have, on all sides, an excited electorate, a fired up electorate.
Yeah, you
on
do.
all sides. So I don't think it's going to be hard.
I expect a very high turnout in
turnout will be amazing to see. It will be very, very interesting to see.
It could be in the 60s.
It could be. It very well could be.
Yeah,
it
could be.
Very well could be. Every single person who has an opinion needs to get out and vote.
That's right.
It's funny because I have a funny feeling that we are going to get away from, usually the country is at this, no matter who you vote for, just vote. I don't think everybody's going to be saying that this time. I think this time we're going to be saying, just vote for our side, period, is where I think the country's going to be.
Yeah.
Because it's so divided.
I still saw a guy on TV today who was saying, doesn't really mean anything to me and really doesn't matter who the president is. And, and how you can say that after 3 years, I have no idea.
Man, after 3 years of this train wreck?
Yeah.
I don't get that at all. If you weren't convinced before that your vote counted, you need to be convinced now. Now, I do understand why some people who voted for Clinton would think that way, because if 2.5 million people, you get 2.5 more votes and you're not president, then you have a lot of people going, my vote didn't count.
Right.
So, about an hour, I was there for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I was thinking, well, what the hell did I get up early and vote for?
Well, Clinton, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh, and maybe we can
not
pick this
Clinton.
up on Facebook, but...
Not Clinton, just the numbers.
Clinton gave us Trump. I mean, she miscalculated so much during that campaign, and then, ended up ignoring Pennsylvania.
Clinton gave us Trump.
Wisconsin.
The media gave us Trump.
Ignoring Wisconsin.
Clinton gave us Trump. The media gave us Trump.
They did.
Bernie Sanders gave us Trump. I mean, there are so many people who are partly large and small responsible.
Racists gave us Trump.
Racists gave us Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
It is what it is, and now we got to recover from it.
I know.
So we coming back for Facebook? What do you want to do?
We are coming back
All right.
for Facebook.
Let's do it, man.
We're going to have a good time on Facebook. We'll talk. What, you want to talk about the election a little?
Yeah, why not?
Talk about Bernie's heart attack?
Yeah. I don't think we covered that.
And we're not laughing at Bernie's heart attack. We are somber about Bernie's
How much time has gone by? Almost 30 minutes? You haven't mentioned Elizabeth Warren one time in 30 minutes.
Is that a record?
That's probably a record on this show.
But
that's probably a record in your whole damn life.
She probably doesn't need my help that much. She's kind of sailing right now.
But still, you mention her name every 30 seconds. A noun, a verb, and a
Well, let's do it on Facebook.
I shouldn't have said anything.
You shouldn't have said it.
I could have gotten out of here without.
It's going to be all Warren all the time on Facebook.
Wow.
Okay.
Look at the time. I got to go.
Let's do it.
All
We're
right.
going to move to Facebook. I'm Barry Gordon.
I'm Andre Coleman.
This is NewsRap live at 5. See you next week, unless we see you on Facebook.
All right, let's head over there.
Okay.